Hi RoboHawks, this is going to be of using your control blocks. These are your orange panel blocks in any of the VEX Code platforms. I'm specifically in VEX Code VR today with a grid map opened up to show you so that I can tell you about some of these really cool blocks. So the first two, and these are probably going to be the most common blocks that you use, are wait and repeat. So let's talk about wait first. Wait is exactly what it sounds like. If I ask my robot to wait for 4 seconds, it will do exactly that before driving. So you can see the clock down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it has gone. This is a great feature if you need it to wait in between commands, so you want it to drive, stop for a quick second, and then turn. This might be helpful in a maze if you're not trying to hit a wall, anything like that. And we also have our repeat block, which is super common. So you stack blocks inside of this block. This is a bracket block. I'm just throwing random things in here. And now when I ask my robot to start, it's going to do this over and over and over and over and over and over again until it will go super fast and repeat. So again, bang, bang, do 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 do. So it did not turn because it was already in heading 90 degrees, just as a reminder. You can stack as many things as you need in and outside a repeat block. So say I wanted to set the drive velocity to 100, but then I did not want that to repeat. So it drives forward in 100 forever. But then it continues to do the rest of my commands. I can pull that whole set off there into the garbage forever. Forever and ever and ever. So forever is a great block if you are using things like velocity and turn velocity. It is also great if in some of our later challenges you are, hint hint, doing things to keep your robot from falling off the edge of a grid. So for example, I want my robot to forever keep an eye out with its lower eye for red. So forever, and this is a great chance for me to use if then. So if then is exactly what it sounds like. These are true and false statements. So if then. So if eye detects red, then stop driving. But I want it to constantly be asking itself that question. So the entire time that my code is running, I want it to ask that question. Now I'm going to open up a different playground so that you can see this in action. I'm going to open up the line detector playground. And I'm going to make my starting point C. So that when, hold on, I got to tell it to drive forward. Drive forward. It saw red, so it has stopped, and it is going to continuously check that value. So if I change my starting point to this, it doesn't see red. So it's just going to keep driving and driving and driving and driving and fall and flip over and be set. Additionally, in control, we have similar things. So if, then, else. This is exactly what it sounds like. So if eye detects red, then stop driving. If it doesn't detect red, drive forward for 200 meters. So I'm going to have it drive forward. It's going to actively check and see if it sees red. I'm going to move my starting point again. I'm actually going to move it over to D. And it's scanning. Oh, but it saw red, so it stopped. But if I move it over to E, where red is higher up, you can tell that it has gone because it did not. Whoop. So if then else, you can then, so if you see red, do this, but if not, I want you to keep going. And then the similar, if your eye sees red, then do X. If your eye sees green, do Y. If nothing else, keep on going. You could then continue to add to this. Another common block is wait until. So if you want your eye to wait until it sees red. So down eye detects red. So drive forward, wait until down eye detects red, and then I want you to stop. And if I open my playground and I move my starting point over to C, this is what that looks like. And repeat until. So I want you to repeat this sequence until you see red. So drive forward for 200 meters until you see red. So let's see. So when started, drive forward until. Let's try green for this one. So until down eye detects green, excuse me. So if I change my starting point over here to C, where green is pretty high up, we're gonna drive. Oop, I forgot to give it a stop block. Drive forward, repeat until down eye sees green. So it has apparently seen green in that tiny little bit. It is telling me that it sees green. So repeat until down eye sees green, and then stop driving. Not my favorite block to use. And those are my variables. While can also be same thing. So while eye detects, while left bumper is pressed, things like that. Brake. This is a reminder on how to use the help panel, because brake is one that can get kind of confusing. Some students think that brake means brakes like a car. I'm going to click on my help panel up here. Ooh, I got to move my playground. So my question mark up here, and I'm going to tap on my orange panel. And it says exits a repeating loop immediately. How to use. So when adding this block, so for example, if we're doing something forever and I want it to see an object, immediately break. So break out of this loop, stop doing this, and go to the next command. Which this can be very helpful if you're searching for a certain object. So when it sees red, I want you to break out of this command and go to my next set. And lastly, we have stop project, which this is exactly what it sounds like. This will stop a project while it's running. So for example, we're going to drive through all of this, but then I want it to stop. I want you to end the project and the recording of the variables in that project. Let me know if you have questions.